Good day. This is Regina's Rabbit Hole. I was just amazed at how every time I go on camera, it looks so dark. You know, in this last month, they must have made some upgrades, you know, to the stuff that's adversive, you know what I'm saying? When you go to use it, there's something wrong with it, like your spell check or something like that. It's kind of goofy. Good day, love. Hi, family. Much love to you. Thank you for being with me. It is Wandering Wednesdays. And, yeah, so I was going to start with some stuff that, you know, I was wondering about this week. So it all started with my daughter. She came to me last week. This was maybe Thursday. She said, Mom, there's this movie on Netflix, and there's a woman trapped in a house with this AI system, you know, that's alive or whatever. And she was telling me about this movie. And she says she started watching it, but she thought it was a series. They were pushing it so much, and that the advertisement for it was so long. She was like, Mom, why are they pushing this movie so much? And that's when a light went off, and I was like, tell me about the movie again. And she said, well, it's about this house that has this woman inside of it, and she's like tricking the house, and she's trying to tell me about this thing this guy is testing. Now, I didn't watch it. It's called Tao, you know. But when I was listening, what it sounded like was, I said, what if the whole purpose of them pushing this AI movie is the same thing that they're doing with the algorithms and stuff like that on Facebook and other social media, that they're actually feeding the artificial intelligence information. So if you're a person watching the movie and there's a woman against an AI system trapped in a house, naturally when we're watching stuff, we're like, why don't he do this? Why don't they do that? We get like MacGyver all of a sudden, right? Especially if you can watch the thing over and over again. And you yourself starts thinking about ways that a person can improve the situation, or things you wouldn't or would do. That's a whole set of calculations and stuff that perhaps, if you know about quantum D-wave computers that they have now, connected to this whole Chern system, it is said that they can actually tap into your unconscious mind. Even if you don't go as far into the information as I have, where they literally, you know, that they can snatch it out of the airways like you get ideas. Let's not go that far. Let's just say that we have computers sophisticated enough right now to be able to calculate the odds of information to make it more applicable, to make it more conducive to what they want to do, okay, and their agenda. We can twist the numbers, or we can look at things in a certain way. In sociology and anthropology, I had this really cool teacher, this professor, and you know, one of the things that society does is paint a good picture of itself in order to morph its citizens into a particular direction. You know, so they're going to paint a picture. You really have to do a broad scale of things to get any kind of clearer view. I'm not saying clearest view, but that's a start, as to look beyond what they put in your face. So we used to do exercises like follow the trail was one of the things we did in class about some t-shirt. It was an example. I'm not sure if it was anthropology or sociology, but the person wanted to know where the t-shirt came from, and they followed the t-shirt all the way to this rinky-dink factory where conditions weren't optimal for its citizens in Mexico, I think, somewhere, or some third world country, according to the book. And I'm just recalling off the top of my head. But the point is that they got to figure out where the material came from, how stuff was made, who put the tag on it, what the conditions were, and then they actually traveled to be able to look someone face to face from whatever it is, merchandise that they were bothering. It would kind of be like following your Nikes, you know, or your Levi's or something that you enjoy wearing, following your hair weave. Now, I've done this many times in research, seriously. You'd be surprised how many things that you can see differently. I mean, I didn't travel there and look the person that makes these things face to face, but I've actually been able to trace interviews and stuff to certain things, you know what I'm saying, that I'm interested in. But that's to say, gathering information is a thing, right? That's how you get reputable sources. So now that we're in the quantum computer age, it shouldn't be anything even to be able to look at a massive computer being able to control and zero in on a particular information, whether it was a population that it wanted to dominate the ins and outs of, like the same thing that's going on in real life when they're looking at what to sell us, what will we buy, how can they improve commercials, what information are we into, you know, what can you block off that'll prevent an incoming source, you know, a new source of information or whatever. So it's really weird, you know. So that's what got me thinking. So I was wondering about that. So I wandered myself on over to Netflix, and I didn't watch it yet. But yeah, you know, how easy would it be to flip the script? We're watching, and how many times have we done it before? Because we know there's a level of disclosure inside of the movies, right? That's, you know, whether we have to cooperate by way of unconscious mind through agreement, you know, to notify the inner spirit that hasn't woken up yet. Maybe there's a part in there like, doggone it, I wish they would wake up. Look what they're about to do now. You know, there's an inner voice that we're not paying attention to. You know what I'm saying? Our ancestors. So now is that time when things are changing. So I want to go through a couple of movies that I was wondering about. Because I was like, you know what? Yeah, we do the movie thing. How many times, you know what I'm saying, have this went on? Because we know that thought is a light code. It's a thought form. Thought. That's an actually being. It's an energy form. Okay, you can work with that. Whether you can pull it out, your thought, you can pull this out, and it has many different facets. You know, it has pros and cons. You can think too much. You can not think enough. It could be counterproductive, and that's just one energy form that we can say. Even look at the words and see how that manifests and spins into real life. So if we copy everything and we're teaching AI, how easy would it be? I mean, and it needs to learn from us. Remember Terminator, the movie Terminator and the Matrix from Sophia Stewart. And how advanced these computer systems seemed. And this is just a side note because I didn't even really go this far on the AI, but I'm just thinking there's so much stuff right in our face that can make you go, even if you haven't researched all the stuff that I've researched and I know. Look at how they had this app where on your phone you could zero in on yourself in your house. It's this, you could tap into the earth grid system, right? With all the highways and houses, you can actually see a picture, a satellite picture, or a street map, you know what I'm saying, of your house. It was this Matrix phone app that I had that was really cool years ago. And remember, if they have something like that for a toy, you can best believe that their technology is much more advanced, right? Yeah, so that's where we're at. We need to think. So if they're putting this in our face, and we know that movies are a part of disclosure, and right in your face you can see that there's technology that's like wackadoo. We got hoverboards now. Wasn't that in a movie? No, so that's why I wanted to walk through some movies, right? Okay, so that was my Netflix journey, and I was thinking about that, all right? You know, so they got this group think thing going, you know? Which is, might as well be a clone. If you're not thinking for yourself and you're a part of this mass being, okay? Years ago I read this book, This Present Darkness. Oh my gosh. I think it was V.C. Andrews, but I'm not sure. No, it wasn't. I'm not sure the author, but the name of the book is This Present Darkness. The book was really cool. Okay? So with our eyes, we need to be able to flip our mentality and the limitations of what they told us versus what actually is in front of our face. Like, wait a minute. Hoverboards? Back to the Future? We're hearing stories about computers, quantum mechanics, CERN. What is going on here? Arnold Schwarzenegger, years ago, did a movie with, talk about a blip, right? I was wondering about this. I came across this while I was looking for this other movie that just freaking, the title of it just disappeared, and I can't explain it enough to be able to find the name of it. I might try it. But I came across Arnold Schwarzenegger and this movie that used to be called Erased, that they call, what's the name of the movie now? And I'll get back to it, because yeah, the name of the movie is something different now. They changed it. But you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, here he goes popping out of the movies too. What is he, Ronald Reagan? It's not called Erased anymore. Where are you? Where are you, Arnold? Anyway, I can't find it in my crazy notes right now, but I'm sure I'll find it later. The name of the movie, Gosh darn it. That's going to really bother me. Like a hamster on a wheel. Wow. I don't think I have it in front of me. Okay, anyway. The name of that movie changed, and I can't think of the name of it at the moment. But it got me thinking about how the parallels between how these different actors, I mean, he's a governor right now, you know, and it's like he popped out of the movie, just like the hoverboard popped out of Back to the Future, just like this technology seems to be popping out of the movies and stuff that we saw. Look at prosthetics and transhumanism and its present state. Put together the stories that you heard from Hollywood people talking about underground cities and Bernie Mac, where, you know, that story was actually confirmed by this other guy. It was confirmed by other people. They feel really bad about what happened with Bernie Mac, other clones. People were saying, yeah, we're right in your face. Yeah, I'm a clone. There's underground cities and stuff. Yeah, and they did Bernie Mac in. It's, look it up. Like, I was amazed, you know? So it's like this tag, scratch, and sniff pop up, you know, Matrix, you know? When we were little, when I was little, we used to have these books, and they're pop-up books. We used to have scratch and sniff books. That's before they came out with markers. You know those markers you can get and they smell fruity and stuff? You can smell licorice and orange and stuff. And that was amazing, you know what I'm saying? And I thought that was a big deal. Another movie that had me freaking out was how things are duplicating themselves and how they're right in front of your face. Jack Nicholson and this movie called Anger Management. That movie was one of the scariest things I've seen in my life. And it's a comedy. But yo, his girl was able to put him through all kinds of changes. And I can't believe I watched that movie over and over again and I didn't see gang stalking written all over it. I didn't see MK freaking programming. They put this guy through a loop. There was stage acting. There was a lot of similarities to gang stalking. Seriously, right there in your face. You got to see this movie with Jack Nicholson called Anger Management. And it's a comedy. But it's actually really scary if you're going through gang stalking. That this movie is so old. I mean, and then the occult symbolism. He's this shadowy figure up on these bleachers. And I can't believe that I was laughing at that mess. And it was right in my face. But it was in the unconscious mind. I mean, how creepy is that? You know, we cheer a lot of things on, and then when they happen, we wonder what hit us. You know? By laughing at that and thinking that that was okay, I didn't even dawn on me that crap like that could happen in real life back when I saw that movie years ago. You know? I was wandering around totally oblivious, you know? And it got me thinking about not just the fact that this stuff is popping out and coming to life, right? But that it's a mirror. That when you study enough, you see that they show us ourselves in a different state, or what could be, or a desire, a reflection of some sort, a fragmented, isolated perception so clear, and that picture stays in your mind like a glyph. You know what I'm saying? It's a thought form, and they can show you the same image so many times that we forget. I can forget the different aspects of myself and get lost in, of course, someone else's interpretation of me. Stuck in a crack in my mind, in a space where, in a groove, like a record, only seeing that one space over and over again, whether it's improvement, you know, we're just being narrow-sighted with many things, you know what I'm saying, and being blocked in. Westworld. I haven't seen that one. Somebody was saying there's a movie called Westworld. I was looking at if there was anything I could glean really quick. Yeah, there's a lot of movies out right now that are giving us some disclosure, you know, and not knowing is just as bad as being told a lie outright or being told a partial truth with a lie. Technology, mixing the truth with a lie, like little alchemy. I'm going to tell you this much of the truth, get your teeth sunk into it, and then start lying, leading you to other spaces, since you'll go for that. Let's go for some more, you know. Would be thirsty, but many of us not enough to go searching for what we really need ourselves, to see that we know it for ourselves. We just take other people's words for stuff. But what if they don't know enough? What if it just so happens they don't know, what is that saying? Their butt from their elbow. You know, they don't know their abs from their elbow. So they're showing us this technology, which is not just with the words, and it's not just with giving us partial truths and some lies, but it's withholding information. It's with not telling you at all. Anybody ever tell you that? That it's just as bad to leave certain things out and not tell people something? I mean, it depends on the circumstances, you know. There's a lot of things that people don't need to know, but then there's a lot of things that people should. And who is deciding for us? I'm live. I'm doing my Wandering Wednesdays. Another thing that I was wondering about while I was looking through information was about this flip. Okay? Leaving information out. Now look at how everything is duplicating itself. Like the chessboard. You have the black and you have the white. And you have the black and white board. So, you know, you have those different dimensions repeating itself. You know what I'm saying? That in itself is an unconscious depiction of the matrix. Being on that board. And then the colors of the board. And then the colors on moving across the playing field. You know, and then the concepts of those pieces. It's like a mandala in your mind if you look at it from an artistic, you know what I'm saying, space. So I'm looking at the lack of information and I'm floating through stuff. One of the people that I enjoy listening to is Santos Bonacci. And he talks about the sound wave and how it moves across the globe. And how that is attached to our very astrology. Right? And astrology is like the life source blood in the cult systems. It's like running through everything. You know what I'm saying? And the same way that the triple black goddess is running through everything. And that's something. So I'm looking at the globe. Mind you, left and right hand. Left and right brain thinking, right? So we here drive on the right side of the road and most of us are right-handed. People in Europe, or was it France, someplace, I haven't traveled very much abroad. You know, they drive on the left side of the road, right? And predominantly left-handed. I thought that was interesting, and I was wondering about that, right? So we got this sound wave that many of us don't know much about. It's attached to this other thing that I've been wondering about, that I'm into studying, which is the Aurora Borealis, okay? And then you get into this analemma. These are things, if you don't know these things, just look them up, because, you know, I'm going somewhere. We don't know where, right? We're just wandering and wondering, right? We're just talking. And I need this, you know? And I know that someone else out there will put these pieces together, and you can use it, and you need it too. It's good medicine, and it's talk therapy, okay? So we got this left and right brain thinking. We have these different sides of the globe. And we know that these different parts are attached to the body. Remember, I don't have that file. The other file is in the room. With the body clock, right? And the colors. Our body is literally attached to the chakra system. And those are color-coded, and those are attached to planets and different, you know, you literally can see that charted out. That's where the science is at. That's not new science. That's just stuff that should be common knowledge for us, because it does matter, you know. So I'm looking at how they're programming artificial intelligence and the different ways they can siphon information from out of us. Well, we all know the horror stories about social media, yet we still use it, because right now in this age of technology, there's the pull, you know, if we're going to use words as good or bad or counterproductive versus mutually beneficial. You can use social media for things like this. Or you could use it for entertainment, entanglement, or other visuals like what I was talking about, that stay in your mind and keep people in the groove. World star, porn star, Trump card, you know, there's many different places to get stuck and not be able to see any other perspective at all, you know, and that's all that we ever look at, like only eating ice cream or one particular kind of ice cream. It depends on the way you look at it. I mean, if you're a vegan, and I didn't say vegan ice cream, you're not into soy and it has to be a special ice cream, just forget I said ice cream. It could be something that you like to eat. And there's different varieties thereof, okay? So when it comes to thought, notice how America has Levi's. You go to Japan, they want to wear Levi's. We got the Gap. You go to someplace else, and you know what I'm saying? At least they make it appear that we're leading or trending certain thought. I don't know where we are on that chakra system. I didn't look at that part in my research yet. Like, where is America when it comes to looking at Earth? Maybe because we can't decide whether it's flat or round or upside down or right side up. We don't know where we are on the globe right now and what it actually looks like. Some of us. I'm going to say that it looks like an eyeball. I'm just you know, like a cake dish. You know what I'm saying? Like a pie dish, you know. It's got a top on it, which is a filament. My daughter said, "Ma, if I didn't love you and you weren't my mom, I would just leave you right now." I was trying to explain to her. But see, It's neither round nor flat. It's kind of both, see? It's like an eyeball, you know, and you have the veins on the eyeball too. You know, you look at the cake dish in the way that it sits on the table, and then there's the middle part, and then there's the top part that covers it, you know. And if you got fancy with it, you can even stick things inside the, you know, you can even stick things inside the bottom. I mean, we're so one-dimensional. The coffee pot is also a teapot, can boil an egg. You know, remember MacGyver? This guy could do anything with a paperclip because he wasn't one-dimensional. You know, we still watch shows like that. I like that kind of programming. Find your way out of a hole with a string hanging from your pants and a paperclip. Is it possible? I don't know. I don't know. But we was going to find out if you watched things like MacGyver. You know what I'm saying? The Knight Rider. Yeah, I know. We didn't have a lot of melanated people to program ourselves, but the selection of people that were there made sure they were pretty smart. It really pissed me off when I found out that Captain Kirk was gay. Oh my gosh, I used to watch him all the time. And the way that he talked. Oh my gosh. When they came out with healthcare, and I saw Captain Kirk's crew up there on Social Security poster. And they still had the tight outfits on with the little Remember, I'm a laughter facilitator, so as I go through this really crazy freaking information, and we're in some strange times right now, yeah, I'm gonna get crazy with it, because, yeah, that was like a weird pop-out scratch-and-sniff moment. He had the dentures in, and they were on the poster with the chest poked out and the little emblem on there. I was like, was it you with Captain Kirk on the ship? Dang, what happened? Whoa, okay. Yeah, they shouldn't have did that. They should have left them in that space and time and not had put them on one of those Geritol Social Security commercials, you know. That was a little too much for me. The hoverboard I could take. I don't know. I'm being personal. I like MacGyver too. Okay, so controlling thought. Why is it so important to control thought? At the same time, we're programming this AI system. What bothered me is that, see, we're in a time when we're supposed to be working on getting over, some of us, the regularly scheduled programming, you know, the things that we've normally been thinking. In a space of evolution where we're allowed to be able to mull this stuff over, contemplate, share the information, that changes the whole spatial grid. That's why the weather is all screwed up right now, you know. When two worlds collide, these words and these thoughts are energetic. And there's a whole world that didn't want us to think for ourselves. There's a massive amount of people right now, you know, turning stuff over in various different sectors. From wherever they're on their little space, they're on their cube, you know, they're on their disc. They have a particular battle, whether it's they don't want their children vaccinated, whether it's they don't want GMOs, whether it's the school system period needs revamping, or perhaps they don't want cell towers, or they're wondering what the freak is chemtrails. Maybe you don't like what Walt Disney did to your sweet little movies, and you found out they was putting stuff in there. And so you started to talk Maybe you don't like what's happening with the policing system or the judicial system. So many people all over the globe, for many different reasons, are challenging things and turning it over. So that spiritual energy is quite busy. Okay? The flip side of that is, remember, when you call on something, the energy is always a pull. Be ready for it to measure you too. Where are we standing at? Okay? So be clear about the methods that we're using to eradicate and clear things up on a spiritual level, because this is the thing they're not telling us. We've spent too much time looking at this cartoon estimation of us as humanity, as people, as humans, as folks, whatever you want to call yourself, right? Us as a collective. We've minimized ourselves. We've been minimized. We fell for the okie doke. And now many of us are waking up and joining in with people who have been there for, let's mind you, a very long time, learning this stuff and doing stuff. There's people in various different stages of the awakening process and teaching people and their methods by which they do it, you know, and the resources they had to do it. We're all in these different stages of development right now. So before we catch up to ourselves, here they are with the AI. Because when humanity won't do it. When they give us a hard time, that's the mentality. We won't be bothered with that. Okay? We'll just get this other thing to do it. Right? We'll get this other system of things to do it. And it will think less. So we're no longer desensitized and behaving robotic. We care. Something's going to give you hell for caring. Even if you were to wake up and turn around, you know the guts that it takes to turn around from what one was doing instead of continuing on the path on where they were. Perhaps you know if you stop and you turn around, there's a good chance that things are not going to be fabulous in the here and now, but perhaps the effort and that energy for the later and the hereafter kind of energy, once you start to see that all this energy is still us. And yeah, it's been held back by wizards and warlocks, people who know how, you know, they knew the science of toroidal fields and pine cones and thought projections and thought forms and archons. I mean, tree of life, you know, they had all this freaking information, you know. They knew what the temple was, you know, that it was a way to project energy, to gather, you know what I'm saying? They knew that it was like, it worked like a computer. We got people who have done a lot of research because that's their square or their disc that they're on. They figured out what they were doing, what they were duplicating with quantum demechanics. Check out Anthony Patch on YouTube, and he also has, you can find him on the net, Anthony Patch. Okay, I caught him on the Kevin Baker show. They exposed a lot of stuff that was interesting. Okay, and I added it to, you know, the other scholars that I study, like Bobby Hemmett and Phil Valentine and you know, Dr. Francis Westland, Scott Westland, and was it Francis? You know, Dr. Blair, and then even checking into the old scholars like you know, the one who did the destruction of a black civilization. You can even find the auto book and check that out once in a while. It gets to the point where you have so much stuff up here that you still have to go back for reference anyway. You get lost in it, and you learn to just be like what's prevalent is what's prevalent that I need to pull up is what we're doing right now, you know, and not to get carried away and having to have everything be perfect, like my file not being in front of me, you know, and another, you know, not remembering the name of the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, but I could tell you about the movie though, because I got so wrapped up in not being able to find the file. All right, in this movie, that's why I wanted to talk about it, was it used to be called Erased, but it's called something else now. They could erase you. Basically, make a long story short, everybody was put on a computer. Doesn't that sound familiar? All your information was put on a computer, and Vanessa Williams was in it. She happened to be the first. That was one of her like big debut, in my opinion. She was the first Black Miss America, and they gave her this part in this movie where she played with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they had these clones that the government had to chase you down, and every time they messed up one of the clones was chasing Vanessa Williams and Arnold Schwarzenegger, who had this whole different name in the movie. And they were trying to take this virus and upload it into the database so that they could kill the computer, the AI system that was tracking them and allowing these clones to chase them mercilessly, which is like gang stalking. Again, another movie right in your face. You know, so every time the clones got killed, they would reanimate them. They would just make them over and over again. And then they would have this little mark in their eye. Now, if you look at some of the stories of the clones, and some of the stories that I seen talk about pop up and sniff, right? Because I was wondering about this, like what's going on. They would go like this, and there would be a little dot or whatever in their eye. So I'm not sure, like when we start talking about parallel dimensions, and clones and being able to transfer consciousness and stuff, this stuff is actually popping up on the grid as actual technology that's prevalent right now that people are using. It's out there. It's actually factual, not just there's a hoverboard sign down the street. I remember I told somebody the freaking hoverboard was here in like 5 years ago. They looked at me like I was crazy. Now that the freaking billboard is right there. You can see the children on it, not what you're saying. Okay? We're not paying attention. You know, and it's amazing. Okay? Even when these freaking stars pop up and become governor after using kind of like disclosure of what's up with the technology, you know, and, you know, so they were erasing people's identities and cloning them. They couldn't return home because they were cloned. And nobody home would believe that this crap happened to them. And they had the clones blocking them off. So whenever they tried to attempt to contact their family members and say, hey, that's a clone. That's not really me that you're sleeping with or you're eating with or that's sending you off to school. That's a clone. It's not me. There was nothing they could do. There was nowhere they could go. There was no surrounding cast except for each other. They ended up bumping into each other. So, yeah, that was a crazy movie. And that's what I was looking for, the name of it, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I gotta tell you the name of it. I gotta find the name of this movie. so that was another one. So that was just a few movies. Now darn if this guy isn't you know, a famous person in Congress, just like we had Ronald Reagan. I mean, he did so many movies too. Heck, he was actually in the freaking Terminator I was talking about. 1, 2. Yeah. You know, and The Running Man. If you ask me, The Running Man sounds similar to the kind of stuff they were saying is taking part in underground whatchamacallits, on the underground cities. They're calling it The Sixth Day. That was not the name of the movie when I freaking saw it when it first came out. When was it? It says they made it in 2000. That was not the name of the movie. Okay? Hey, you remember something like the first freaking Miss America being black, and that being Miss America, Vanessa Williams. And the movie's name was erased. Isn't that? No, come on now. The unconscious mind. The name of the movie was erased, but that was erased. It's now called The Sixth Day. I think because that's how long it took for the clones, or something like that. It had something to do with the time on the clones animation or some crap like that. You know, and it had the thing with the eye. You know, and if you look at some of the stories of the clones in Hollywood, and they talk about how I mean, stuff. I'm wondering about that because I've also heard us who are awakening show dots in our eyes as part of the purging, I assumed. You know what I'm saying? Not quite sure. However, it does line up with some of the stuff that I've been saying in regards to them being able to switch, transfer consciousness, parallel dimensions, and erasing people's memories and time travel and stuff like that. It lines right up. Okay? I have visions in the past. Now, visions and dreams turn into movies. I got visions and dreams that can turn into movies. You know? The abstract thought is complex, and as silly as this may sound, I'm wondering if you can understand how you take your dream and you write it down, because the stuff is just so vivid, okay, that you could actually almost reach out, almost, and touch it. And you've had it repetitively, and it's like, you know, it's dream, it's movie, blockbuster kind of stuff, you know, about freaking cyborgs and, you know, all kinds of different things, okay? I took these dreams and wrote them down and ended up separating them into a book before I even realized any of this stuff. Before I researched that this stuff is actual. The stuff that sounds wackadoo that I'm talking about. Time travel, government stalking. But here we are. What time is it? It's like tag. You know? Scratch and sniff, pop up. Matrix. For real it is. You know? Stuff is really coming to life. We really should pay closer attention. Not for the sake of being stupid and afraid and unempowered, although it may appear. You know what I'm saying? Even if it does appear that there's nothing you can do about it, gosh darn it, what is that saying? Don't go greatly and don't go gently into that great night. You got children, grandchildren, nieces, next door neighbors, friends. You got an image in the mirror that deserves the right to know. And part of the technology, it's not telling you. It's lack of information. It's not just twisting the information and messing with the language and the words and messing with your ambiance in your environment and your feng shui, where there's car horns and ice cream trucks and voice to skull technology and counterproductive messaging and gang stalkers and people with remote viewing weapons and electronic harassment and making it adversive for you to upload your information by messing with your spell check and making your screen dark and cutting your internet off. It's a joke. All this distraction. Why? To mess with the thought projection. All this has been, you have to repeat the method. And only duplicating a science and flipping it inside out and keeping people onto a groove. Like some record, some counterproductive freaking scene in a movie. Versus one that is mutually beneficial, health provoking, life sustaining. Although it may be out of the ordinary, we need to get out of the ordinary right now. It's the freaking Armageddon. What? I don't care what you call it. Revelation, the time of awakening, the time when we can become empowered, where cryptocurrency is taking over the dollar bill. Where movies come to life. Where you can hoverboard yourself on over and still get a pack of Newports. Which they haven't managed to improve yet. 50,000 flavors of chemicals that keep you coming back. You know. Like cereal. That's repetitive, isn't it? Yeah. That's what cereal does. It repeats. Stuff to keep you coming back. Anyway. Yeah. So I'm glad I found the name of that movie. You know, they call it The Sixth Day. But I remember it, this is a Matrix glitch, as Erased. And I remember it vividly because they promoted Vanessa Williams so hard. And I got my popcorn before I realized that popcorn is probably one of the things that you shouldn't eat. But then again now, you know what I'm saying? Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. What can you eat, huh? They're saying that they're poisoning stuff. I was wondering about this while I was wandering around. We got this cat and hat kind of mentality, you know what I'm saying? This the Mad Hatter kind of thing, right? I'm wandering around and I'm looking at all this different information and sniffing out. They are messing with the food. Propaganda, is it? I saw something float over the internet talking about, there goes veganism. Fear, fear, fear. What do you mean there goes veganism? What do you mean that they're putting stuff in the cantaloupes? What do you mean they're putting stuff, they're showing the video all over Facebook? People, and the guy's rubbing his finger all in the stuff and squirting all over the stuff is popping out. How long we been freaking eating that stuff? Come on now. Just like the technology. How long they been shooting us up with stuff? How long they been vaccinating us? How long has this stuff been in the food? How long we been eating chemicals, government cheese, stuff in the milk, stuff they gave cows that produce the milk that they feed to us and then throw all these different... Do you know how many different scare tactics they give us? Every freaking decade they upgrade them. Every year they upgrade them. What doesn't upgrade? Body mass index. What doesn't upgrade? One-dimensional thinking. One-dimensional thinking. That's what's supposed to be upgraded. And so while we're upgrading, we're being distracted. Rightly so, we should pay attention to this new artificial intelligence systems. That which collects, what it does is collect thought forms inside a machine and then project them back out as a mirror. In the same way that other cultures have been usurping the triple black goddesses before you can even figure out what happened to you and where the essence of many things come from. Without distraction. Before you can play scratch and sniff with your own self and your own mentality, so that you can be a better person for the next person standing next to you, and it'd be okay. What, am I gonna bite you? No. I'm gonna be different than you for a period of time until you catch up and realize that some of us, that's what we do. We just take bits and pieces of other people and incorporate them in different ways. So we figure out how this machine works and make it more mutually beneficial instead of so counterproductive. It's better, I would assume is better. It's hoping for betterment, not the illusion of somebody's idea of perfection, because I already know that my idea of perfection is not going to meet the other. There's going to be somebody else out there who it's not going to meet their dimension of it. That's what this is all about, is to allow for that to happen, you know. Allow for the energies of the planet to work that out without people usurping them and interfering with them, you know. That is a great deal of the usurping of universal law of what you call God. God Creator said, the one thing that man has that shall not be taken away is his right to choose, right? What if you didn't realize that your right to choose was taken away? And then other people around you are showing you the way that your right to choose has been taken away. Those are the people that are being attacked by the system. You know, by the very people that they're trying to help are attacking them because the system is holding them up too. It's vampiric. They need a job. They need to save face. They need to hold the system together. They need to make their little triangles, you know, for a particular reason, for a set. You know what I'm saying? You know? Things that were symbolic. During this time of awakening, watching the Crips and Bloods unite, and then hearing stories about that they've been like that. They've been like that, hearing stories confirmed. Meek, Big Meek, the guy who just got released from prison, stepping into the conscious community. You hear the story about how they used to run things. They have both sides, you know what I'm saying, doing that. And what we ostracized and zeroed in on as one set of peoples in the populace doing was a lie, because many of us didn't even realize anything about the cocaine cowboys, you know what I'm saying, and how wars were paid with drug money. Here we go with Ronald Reagan, and this is the war, and this is the war on drugs with his wife, Nancy Reagan. And how that was a really big, you know, moneymaker, the war on drugs. Meanwhile, in the meantime, we didn't know it was a meantime, and that it was on up, it was psychological warfare. We were being eaten alive by them pouring these drugs and stuff into the community, and even doing using Nazi paperclip scientists to drug people and do MK programming and stuff. Stories about that too. It's part of the acid trip and the cocaine trip and whatever else trip they wanted to do. You know, drugs is a very big part of it. You know, and limiting people's inhibitions and stuff like that, getting people loopy. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to change the perception from prohibition to non-prohibition to promoting your alcohols and your liquors through lyrics and songs, so you can make money that way through advertising. I drink my malt liquor. You know, the stuff coming to life and finding ways to be able to use this stuff. I'm just coming up with different ways. I wonder if you've wandered into any of this yourself. Yeah, I know I'm getting some yeses. I'm looking. Things are dark, and I can't really focus on that when I start going and getting into the, you know, the brainstorm and stuff. But yeah. Mel Gibson and the movie, Mel Gibson freaking movie that he was in, where he was brainwashed or whatever, and he was they were hunting him down. The government was hunting him down, and he was in a hospital, the mental hospital. And what was the name? The lead actor, I can't remember the name. So anyway, do you know how it fractures your freaking mind when these guys were like your little heroes before, when you were brainwashed, you know, and you find out that they're gay or they're hateful to women, like this Mel Gibson guy and stories that I've been reading about him, you know, how he treats his wife. What was the name of that movie? He was saving, he had a psychologist, and she thought he was crazy. She was treating him while he was in a hospital. And he wasn't crazy. There was this government freaking guy after him and stuff. They had erased his memory. Does that sound like an MK thing? More disclosure right in your face. I'm looking for the name of this movie. This guy's done so many different movies and stuff. Check out the movies and the disclosure that they're doing. You know? And I'm not saying all the stuff they're doing, but there's certain things that will, you know, once you've done so much, a particular amount of study, and you look at it, and you look at what these what they call choice actors and actresses choose to embody as a source of their work, because a lot of them actually, you know, do method acting, or they actually take on like, you know, the being, or, you know, jump into the character and stuff, you know, at times where they just lose themselves. Bird on a Wire? No, that's not it. That's not the movie. She was another one, you know. I mean, when you got a decade or two to look back on it, you can see the influence of some of these actors, and you can see their placement in society, and then you see the stories coming out, you know, even Bill Cosby and the programming of the Perfect Dad programming that he, you know, manifested. You know what I'm saying? How we could be so desperate for images, so desperate to get stuck in a groove just so we have something. I was going through heck when I was a child, and to be able to jump into that space where you could jump into a dream, and it's so crystal clear that you don't have to freaking think about it. It's there for you. And you watch those movies or cartoons or whatever it is, whatever your bag is, You get into that preference, that programming over and 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 over. Even if you don't do a rerun, it's similar types of programming. And it's reinforced by the people around you over and over and over and over and over, and you're all vibrating. Double arches. Get some fries, nuggets, fries, nuggets. Captain Kirk, Vanessa Williams. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever is now. I know we're back to the future over here. I know what time it is. I'm just over there for a second comparing, you know what I'm saying? And snap some stuff together so we can flip it. We can flip this mentality. It's really necessary for us right now. If you can change your DNA, by way of thought, example, woman had cancer. She thought of a freaking Pac-Man, a giant Pac-Man eating her cancer away. And it did. She thought of a white light as if it was an eraser. This is a whole different woman. I read plenty of stories because at first I couldn't believe it. My programming was like, no, that's too freaking simple. They gotta be tripping. That person is crazy, insane. But I kept seeing it. I was looking for healing for this thing I got with all this energy that you see me displaying. You know, I just go, and I've been for years looking for ways to control my energy. And to me, it displays like a disease because it gets in the way of stuff, you know, my attention. But yet, that's my design. My design is a triple generator, manifester. You know, I just settle into my life in some regards is the way it is because of who I am and the way that the Creator made me. It was my lack of knowledge that stuck me into a groove. But now that I know, working my way out of it is a journey. And that's why I said, just because you turn around in the path that you're in, don't mean that things are going to go exactly your way. It could be next lifetime. It could be this lifetime. It could be tomorrow. Heck, I could have missed it and it been down the road last week. So where am I with that? Just wanting to be there. Wanting to, that's the surrender. That is the cooperation. The action. Love is an action word. The willingness to change. Not because I was going to get something out of it. I know I'm going to get something out of it. I'm going to get an energy exchange, a return. When? I don't know. How much how much stuff I've done this life and the last, you don't want to know. Yet, it kind of comes out. It will come out. It all comes out in the wash. But what we did to get here and to pay it forward in different parallel dimensions, know that the energy is here for us to be able to turn it around. That's all you got to know. The energy is here to turn it around. Because the audacity to even always be looking for something. When you look at the sacrifices and the prices that have been made to pay it forward already. Marcus Garvey said, look for the ancestors in the whirlwind. Present day and in past. It takes a collaboration. I don't know what people are looking at. You can't do something totally separate all by yourself. There's still a cooperation. Okay? The earth cooperates with sky and water. And what does it do? It gives us air, and we can't not give back carbon dioxide. It's just a part of the process, and everything is tied together in the same way. That is the concept of our world and the way that things work. know that the ancestors paid it forward. All that strange fruit, all that humiliation, all that laying on the bottom of the bed, all that stuff you're not supposed to talk about, because why? People are fearful that you'll use it for a petty exchange of energy. To get off, to get a thrill, kissing my toes. Some petty thrill. Do you think that's what the ancestors really want? Maybe some gremlins. Some people stuck in a groove. But if you would ask me, which you didn't, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Only because I have the medium right now. This is like my moment, right? My moment in time that I chose. The ancestors. They just know that all that energy is there, okay? And they're not going to waste it on no petty stuff. It's there for change, for higher elevation, not for degradation and humiliation. It's not to duplicate what was done. It's to realize who you are so that you can remove it, eradicate it, change it, transform the energy as it should have been done, and do the work to turn things around. To be able to utilize all the different energies like an alchemy. What, nobody's in a freaking bubble all by themselves. And anything that wants to take over and make one particular thought the dominant thought for everything is a freaking cancer, a poison, a disaster, a freaking weed. With the benefit, if you need to choke something, go get that. And make sure you plant it right next to whatever it is that you want to choke, because that's what it's going to do. So if you don't want that, don't plant it next there. That's the information that we're missing. We're going and cozying up next to it, not knowing what it is, and rubbing poison ivy all over ourselves and stuff. That's what I wanted to say. Even knowing that, when they give us poison, like them messing with the food, our genetic structure is made, and all that information on how to turn it around and eradicate it is here. The antidote is here. The pole is here. We've been looking at so much gook and junk and nasty crap for so long. Bad behavior. For so long. The putrid smell. And it retarded, man. Just not using the higher elevation of thought. Just not even, it's sitting right there and we just don't take it. We just don't take it because we've been stuck in a groove. That's what they taught us to do it. And so, energy never died. It only transfers. And our ancestors live in us. And during this time of evolution, of upgrading, there's really, if you're chosen the path to be able to educate and uplift yourself, that's a journey all by itself. There's energy there to help you do it. It's just to help you do it, no matter how hard it may seem. Perhaps the hardest thing for you to do is let love in, to allow yourself to be accepted and included and stuff. That hurts more than not. When you start looking at things differently, it's not always the bully. Sometimes it's the laid back guy, all right, so it's the way that we're looking at things. With this technology, that's the big part of it, is our ability to empathize and put ourselves in someone else's place. Creator God wanted to live, manifested itself in everything. There is nothing alive that is not our Creator. Even if it's aspects of ourselves that we manifested that we wanted to see, it's still things that we wanted to manifest and touch and see and create. Like a fantasia, like an orgasm of life. To be able to do different things and just keep turning it and turning it and turning it. Like, what do they call that when you take the paper and you fold it? Origami, you know. You can take this paper, there's so many different facets of life, and our Creator wanted to experience that. One syllable, one note is like this paper. Well, we could choose it and go. Or we can write on it. We can doodle on it and make a different dimension of thought by putting symbols on it. On this paper, because of the knowledge and the different dimensions, you could do different stuff with this. Or you could do origami and make it, you know what I'm saying, 3-dimensional. Heck, you can make a paper airplane and, okay? But it all starts with a thought and realizing that this one piece of paper is like a one. There's so many different subjects that are infinite, and things and elements and substances and combinations that wanted to express themselves as a part of the Creator, just to see what it felt like, you know, to have that ooh and the ah, just like you want to. If we are aspects or reflections of the Creator, then it also wanted to have smiles and bright eyes and fun and song and the wind blowing through its hair and to smell its underarm pits and be like, what? What is that? To see its toes, to eat certain flavors and foods, to have a child, to touch a tree, to run its fingers, its feet, its toes to the grass, and just, you know what I'm saying, to experience. Our ancestors lived through us. It was a part of our brains. Did you ever wonder why they say we only use, 20% of our freaking brain? 20, 30? What is the other part doing? They said it was sleeping. Now they cut it off. Check out the story of Atlantis, which is the portion of the world I believe that I could possibly be in. But I'm still researching that because, you know, this is like dark magic capital, Connecticut, you know. And the history of the United States period, let alone, you know, these parts, you know, where I am, Hartford, Connecticut, you know, Long Island, Cheshire, you know, the stories and stuff, you know, where the lighthouses. I mean, you look around, there's a lot of Masonic symbols and stuff, you know. As I become more awakening and aware of our ancestors and allow myself to become more sensitive and just be, you know, I can feel more of the change in energies and stuff, as well as the weather changing, you know, and corresponding stories and stuff like that with the, you know, Ascension, Armageddon, Revelation, end of days, flip Mayan thing we got going on. But let me just say, it depends on who you are and where you're at. People who are waking up now, who are able to be aware that Earth is alive, it has a consciousness. Duh. This is connected directly to God Creator. Earth is not the one that told us to walk out of the house and not appreciate the flowers around us. Just like that line in The Color Purple. If you walk past the color purple, it's like God getting angry. The Creator, do you think, how would you feel as a mother or a father and you provide for your children and they're just totally unappreciative? Don't even look at you, don't acknowledge you, don't say thank you. Just stupid. What, and you can't wait until they get 18 so they can get the blip away from you because you're confused trying to figure out how did you deal with that? What can I do? After flailing around desperately to get your child to acknowledge that you need each other and that what you just did for it, it's going to do for something else, and that's important. That's an important lifeline and spiritual message to be able to receive. So you can pass it on. That's a genetic code right there. See what I just did for you? I wiped your butt. I made your food. When you were naughty, I was nice. I still loved on you. And I don't mind. I wiped your snotty nose. When you were sick, I still, you know what I'm saying, cleaned up your tissues. And because I'm your mama, I'm your family, I'm your sister, I'm your brother, I'm your... whoever it is that's the close family member. I'm your friend. Family isn't always what we're born into. If you were fortunate enough to have, you know, the proper relationship, a nurturing relationship, you know, to teach your child to value that is very important because that's how they're able to give it to someone else. The things that I was missing, somebody else's mama taught me. Somebody else's mama taught me the things that I was missing because those were the things my mother was missing. And I'm sure that the things, like my grandma on my dad's side, some things that my mother was missing, my grandma probably taught my mother. You know? Maybe she learned some things from her sister or some other women that she was around. You know? What are we feeding each other for messages? I don't like some of the messages. I'm sure that you're not going to like some of mine. I was stuck in some groove today and I realized, you know, I work very diligently at not getting stuck in certain thought forms. And yeah, our Creator will test us when we start talking that jazz about how we're awake and we're enlightened and certain things don't affect us, yada, yada, yada. It will, I'm still looking for that movie I was talking about with Mel Gibson. Yeah, you know, your faith or belief will be tested. So you don't care and you want to just be yourself, but you have all this information. Like, stuff balances out and tests you in the strangest freaking ways, you know. You get to really see yourself and limitations. And for a person that's empathic and can feel, hear, see things, the difference between acknowledging that something is coming from out of myself and it's stinky and putrid, like, oh yeah, that's me, and I need to clean that up because that's counterproductive. Right? We don't want to be offensive. We don't want to be counterproductive. We want to be mutually beneficial. Keep our stuff smelling sweet. A sweet aroma. Okay? Like the air that we breathe. Like the water that cleanses us. Huh? Like the earth that gives us a bounty of food. The earth is well prepared in consciousness to be able to broadcast the right frequencies to overcome poisons. That energy is also too there. And so if we're always focusing on the doom and gloom of destruction that they wanted us to focus on, we're not seeing that it's a changing of the guard. Changing. It didn't say it's the end of one world and the beginning of another. Now you can put the thought forms in there, like, you know, you're the Simpsons, and do the dream board thing. think I don't know just because certain things I ain't done. Like, I'm looking at what's happened to the people that have used these tools and how certain things have manifested in their life, and looking at thought forms and some longevity before I pick up things that I don't need because I was born this way, did not ask for it. My journey through information was searching out things that were already in myself from the messages and dreams and stuff like that I was getting. And that's why I separated them into books and stuff like that, back to that. And that the energy is there. Like, our ancestors are there, very present and working with some of us. But we have to be able to even glean and understand their perspective of the information that they're giving us to receive. And it's really a non-biased situation. If it got biased, we got stuck into a groove somewhere, and it's time to go back and reevaluate, because energy is energy. You start personalizing stuff, that's personal. Hopefully that we figured out how that energy works before we start personalizing it. First, show me how it works. And that's what I ran into, being tested as a person. There are certain spaces and information that I cannot go into unless I move myself out of the way. Perhaps it's the sound of somebody's freaking voice. Oh, I can go there. Especially being empathic. Perhaps it's the rhythm, the rhythmic tones. They weren't calm enough. Like, I'm more sporadic. Some people need more even tones, more monotones, more controlled bases before they accept their information. Like, they want you to speak like you're Captain Kirk. But they don't know the story behind Captain Kirk now, do they? Or do they? I might not find this Mel Gibson movie that I was talking about, where he was the double agent who they arrested. His Born Identity was another movie. Shoot, that talks about, just a lot of movies like this that talk about the government and the crazy stuff. So when I saw, knowing what I know now about gang stalking, and that's an actual thing, checking out Anthony Patch, right? When I saw that movie with Jack Nicholson and Anger Management, I was pretty pissed, and it was really creepy. That's right in front of your face stuff. Now you laughing at me. You're doing this stuff, and look. No. That's not okay with me. That's not okay with me. That your partner can bend and twist you, you know, all kinds of ways until you submit to the programming. And then it's A-okay. I mean, just the way it happened, it really pissed me off. You gotta see this movie. Anger Management. Now I'm angry. The guy, he was very submissive, and he didn't speak up for himself. And in the end, they had him so angry that he went off. Like many TIs do. They go off. Some of them want to go off on other gang stalkers. But, I mean, there was just too many parallels and stuff there. And many of them commit suicide. So, this Ishi movie wasn't funny. I mean, it is funny. When you think of how dark and warped something's sense of humor is, and the time that it put into it, it's funny and warped, but only like Three Stooges and Beavis and Butthead kind of funny. Blow up, blow it up again, pick your nose, blow it up, kind of funny. Ha ha. Not brilliant, fantastic, build a pyramid. What? Anaki Easter egg nigga naga. Triple black goddess. No matter what you do, you're still gonna find this kind of funny. No. inquiring minds want to know kind of funny. Take them words, flip them inside out, and the essence of the truth is still going to be in them kind of funny. Like even when you try to use technology, those who are us, are of us, who are looking to heal and find remedies for this freaking madness of monotone thought, just so something can usurp the Kundalini energy, your life source, your being, you know, right out of us. Dying early, people dying of diseases that could have been prevented. Yo, I'm not saying that we can or cannot do something about the food situation if you are not able to grow your own. I'm not able to grow my own to the degree that, I would just be out of luck. I'm going to the grocery store and I'm trusting the food, the same food that I'm telling you, giving you a heads up on that it's there. I'm also giving you a heads up on other techniques, like what I call prayer. I don't like the word pray. That's when you send, we're talking about thought forms, right? Archons, thought forms. Pray, to pray. I'm going to ask my God to work on my behalf, this spiritual energy. Boom. We do that all the time. Boom. This is what I want. Boom. Like a genie. Rubbing the lamp together, rubbing your knees together. This is what I need. This is what I need. This is what's going on. Or we say thank you to this thought form, right? We put the energy in and we feed it. Well, something else found a way to feed it too. And they knew a lot more than you. That's all I'm going to say. And that's part of the technology, is to be able to withhold and bend information. I'm not going to tell you I'm putting nanotechnology in your freaking nuggets. I'm not going to tell you that I put fluoride in your water and your toothpaste and it makes you, it lowers fertility as well as makes you more submissive so that you're not so lively. Why is she so lively? Oh my gosh. Why don't they just settle down? You haven't had enough fluoride, have you? That's what the thought form is saying. She hasn't had enough fluoride. But it comes out, why are they so lively? And thinking about all these different things that don't fit in to the Lego system. I have to think too hard. I don't want to think too hard. Come up with one of these freaking answers so I can just say yes or no. Like when you put the number 2 pencil and you have those tests and the machine reads it. It's not personal. I used to hate those tests. And then I used to love those tests for different reasons. You know, they're non-discriminatory. It's yes or no. And that's it. There's no explaining. And then if you give somebody a test and they have to explain, there's bias. Yep. Teacher told me the test was come up with a topic. I said the American dream. That's a topic. It's factual. It was technical writing. That was my topic. The American dream was a real thing. No, it's not. It's a thought form, she told me. Wait a minute. People come, foreigners, we're full of freaking foreigners. We're called the melting pot. This is my professor telling me this is one of those people. Okay. She's a Latino, came here to make a better life for herself. You yourself took part in the American dream. Like, I'm not getting this. The American dream does not exist. It is not a real thing. It is a thought form. Okay, so we promote the American dream, but you're telling me that it's not something that I can... So we went into this big back and forth thing. It did not make sense to me. And I didn't realize at the time that I was struggling against a thought form. She wasn't even there. She didn't even make sense. She wasn't reasoning or making sense. I was looking for her to reason and make sense with me, but she couldn't. And my mind told me she's a professor. She should be able to see how herself is a foreigner, and she came over and she took part in the educational system, and now she is my professor, and I'm a black American. And although she has these thought forms up against black women, obviously she's having some kind of glitch here when I'm interacting with her, and I could tell from our interaction. And where my mind told me that we should be on the same page as women, as melanated women, as people who want the American dream. We weren't. And I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out why she wasn't thinking, why she wasn't empathizing, why she wasn't seeing herself in me, why she wasn't seeing herself in what I was saying. And she couldn't. She just couldn't. So we had this discussion in the hallway, and other teachers heard, and now, so okay, she told me that that wasn't a real thing. And this is the weird part. The machine eats real stuff. Darned if a month later I didn't start seeing the American dream duplicated all over the place as a topic in educational systems. Not just online or in school as topics. And what can I say? Nothing. I had to sit there and eat it. Now at the time, it was just tripping me out, because this is when I first started realizing that, well, I didn't first start realizing it, but it was just pissing me off. When I first started realizing that things that I was thinking or that I used was being duplicated was back when I was using Zeal Woman when AOL first freaking came out. And I had this little rinky-dink computer at home. And it kept breaking down, so I had to learn how to fix it. So that was my crusade. That was my little disc. My square was figuring out how to keep my computer working and feeling smart because I could change my hard drive all by myself. And this was 15 years ago, maybe 20, 18, something like that. AOL. LOL. Okay, so I was Zeal Woman, and then I started seeing Zeal Woman everywhere. But it was in my mind, but I didn't know that our system, this machine, eats people. It's not going to promote your idea. It's going to snatch your idea from out the air. Or in the same ways that we use temples and churches and stuff like that. You know, where for a system, it just pisses me off knowing what I know now. For a system built on talking about plagiarism and don't plagiarize, that's because they're terrified you're going to do to them what they've been doing already. We're just stealing the foundational pieces, you know, stealing information from other cultures and other systems and claiming it for their own. But in doing so, they did not have the mentality, the genetic code to be able to understand these things. Hence, not wanting to plug into the planet. Not having the mentality to be able to recognize. That's when you become disconnected. And so the only difference right now in peoples when it comes to the energies is proving yourself worthy in regards to your disconnection with the planet. If it finds you worthy, I don't care what color you are. If you're studying chemtrails or water or freaking vaccines or the educational system or music and how it affects the freaking body, and we're 70%, over 70% water, then you is my friend. That information that you did made a ripple in time, and that's a shareable wave. Do you know what I'm saying? If you can tolerate to listen to the sound of my voice and get over my temperament and how you feel like we're supposed to appear as human beings, if I'm on your frequency vibration and you can tolerate it and I can tolerate you, because that's what I was saying. I had to remove myself out of the way. Many times this information will test you. And a little piece that you need, a little freaking morsel, will be from somebody and you can't stand the sound of their freaking voice. You don't like the way they dress. Perhaps they said something and you're not agreeing with some other principles, and that's all I can freaking think about. Oh my gosh. I can only think about that. I don't like them, and it's my freaking right. It's my right. It's my right. It's my right. I don't like it. I don't like it. I cannot see the other stuff that they were talking about. They're eating watermelon. They're scratching their butt. They swore. They wear a wig. They ain't natural. They're missing a tooth. They skin ain't the right freaking color. I don't like the way they said y'all. They don't talk professional enough. They're not formatted enough. Whatever it may be. They don't eat the right thing. They farted. And I smelt it. And I didn't deal it myself. Even though I too fart. It could be anything. We will pick something. And then not be able to hear that one thing that we really freaking need. Okay? And it's through synchronicity. Okay? If you're looking at Santos Bonacci, when I was talking about the sound waves and the analema, and the way that we actually resound a lot of the frequencies and tones of the planet. And the same way that America seems like it's a forefront, a leader, and the way things across the globe move. You're talking about water, and you're talking about an actual measurement and frequency, a bandwidth, okay? That's what you see moving right now with all this crazy weather and stuff. I don't care how you want to put it. Dark matter, antimatter, tachyon energy, scalar wave energy, the same energy that healers use to project and make a manifestation of a holistic environment, a homeostasis, so that somebody can heal. You know, they're turning something, a balance of something, into a place where it's alkaline, you know, or it's balanced. They're pulling stuff out. They're putting stuff in. It depends on what kind of method or technique that they use. We all have different bandwidths and access codes. That's why you got DNA. That's why there's different kinds of trees and different kinds of seeds. And just like a plant gets its color from the way that its genetic code reaches toward the light. That's why a yellow tulip is a yellow tulip. Okay? It's in the genetic code for that particular thing to reach toward that bandwidth of light that will make it yellow. It's reaching for that with its very genetic code, with all its essence. And the planet is essence. It's on a different frequency of intellect. It vibrates different. And so for how long have we been walking out of the house and not appreciating the bounty that is right in front of us? That's a part of what and who we are. Just because we were told not to pay attention. Just because we don't know. Just because we've been oriented into technology. How am I going to use this information? It's a labyrinth. It's a labyrinth. I don't know. I can't tell you how to use your information. I can't tell you your own practical application. I can share with you mine and how I've been blessed, that has a pull for a long time. You know, one man's junk is another man's treasure. One man's blessing may seem like another man's curse. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Is it wonderful to be beautiful, or is it a pain in the tush? You know, it depends on the way that you look at it and what you're looking for, what your intention is, what your balance is, and what your perspective is, and how we're gleaming it. I'm just learning that I have a right to, I have a right to my right, to my rewrite. Right? Right? All right. So, yeah, we went through a lot of stuff. That access code is biblical. You can track it to the Essenes, biblical. It's biblical. Check out the Sibyls, Triple Black Goddess, Black Madonna. All roads lead to Rome or what they stole. The booty, the bounty, the Bella. And these entities into me. Entity, there's a choice. There's a pole. There's a balance. Where are you sitting at? And intention is definitely that thing that guides us into the direction we need to be at during this time of the shifting of wheat. Well, where is it going to be shifted to? Energy never dies, it only transfers, and we come from parallel dimensions, or our energy, we knew of energy. We know how this thing worked to the point where we build pyramids, yada, 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 Stonehenge, Easter Island. Places that they just built on top of because they couldn't produce the original essence. They could only copy. They could only mirror. They could only, become like a gremlin. Mimicking, and stuff. Things that, you don't work for the essence of. Okay? And when we take on something else's concepts and we haven't worked for it ourselves, it's a cliffhanger. It's a dangerous place to be. We have been in a very dangerous place. Okay, where our essence has been being usurped because we don't even know the foundation of. We need the foundation in the same way that when you get the proper comfort, touch, essence, when you get the proper balance, not corrupted, not messed up where it's distorted and you can't, the proper one. When you get that person that'll rub your head or your tummy or make you that good meal, that's a substance, whether it's information or actual food, or just being around you, your orb, make you a good meal, like we're all in this melting pot, some of us are saucy, some of us are like noodles, wet noodles, some of us are, like rice, I don't know. But whatever, it's all in here. There's plenty of different things to eat and serve up and put together. There's plenty of different combinations to get with. And it's all a part of our Creator expressing itself in the same way that we see it kapow all over the place. We duplicate that and we just do it again, only we weren't seeing it. So whatever kapow that we want is just another expression, off the vine. If we were a tree and we were a limb, you know what I'm saying? And it wanted to be whatever, to say that Creator is capable of manifesting whatever it wants to from off of its tree. And then we become a branch and then manifest whatever, with our lives and our deeds and our children and the environments that we create because we become a part of them, So when Marcus Garvey said they're in the whirlwind, that's what he meant. Energy never dies. It only transfers. Even our thoughts and all that kind of stuff. It's all here. And so on this poll, I got to go because laptop's about to die, phone's about to die, and I have to pee. Remember, I'm your laughter facilitator. Remember to breathe your way through all this information. Check on the words that I say. You can look up everything. Much love to you and yours. This is Regina's Rabbit Hole, and it's Wandering Wednesdays. We're over the hump now, and thank you for being with me. Much love to you and yours. I am out. Brah.